Former Irish referee and administrator Owen Doyle has issued a stark warning to Super Rugby Pacific administrators, suggesting that their ongoing law trials could ultimately disadvantage the All Blacks, the Australian national rugby union team, and even elite referees operating at the highest level of the game. Doyle's concerns come in the wake of World Rugby's recent Shape of the Game conference, which concluded without any formal alterations to the global lawbook ahead of the 2027 Rugby World Cup in Australia. While tensions had reportedly simmered before the summit, with differing views on red card protocols, scrum management, and game flow initiatives, World Rugby emerged from the meeting projecting unity. The governing body released a statement describing universal agreement among stakeholders and insisted that the sport remains in a strong, positive place. However, Doyle believes that beneath that message of harmony lies a significant challenge: the risk of fragmentation if elite competitions begin operating under divergent interpretations or experimental frameworks, a divided landscape. The Shape of the Game Summit was designed to align unions, competitions, and officials around the future direction of rugby union. Discussions included how to improve fan understanding, how to enhance continuity, and whether further trials should be conducted behind closed doors before any permanent global adoption. In the end, World Rugby opted for stability rather than sweeping reform. No major amendments were introduced ahead of the next global cycle, a decision Doyle views as pragmatic rather than political. He argues that the outcome should not be framed as a winners and losers scenario, but instead as a collective acknowledgement that the sport is functioning effectively at international level. Nonetheless, while World Rugby pursues alignment, Super Rugby Pacific appears to be heading down a more experimental path. Super Rugby's law trial Super Rugby Pacific has introduced a series of law innovations designed to reduce stoppages and accelerate play. These include limiting the number of scrums, awarding free kicks instead of scrums for accidental offside, tightening enforcement around players joining rucks after the referees use a call, and granting greater flexibility regarding where quick taps may be taken. Competition officials argue that these changes are intended to increase ball-in-play time, promote positive attacking rugby, and simplify officiating. But Doyle is not convinced. In his view, replacing scrums with free kicks risks eroding one of union's defining features. The scrum is not merely a restart mechanism. It is a core contest that accommodates players of varying physical profiles and skills. By reducing scrums, Doyle fears Super Rugby Pacific could gradually morph into a hybrid product, one that resembles rugby league in pace, but sacrifices union's structural identity. Impact on international teams. Doyle's primary concern centers on the implications for international rugby. Super Rugby Pacific remains a key development platform for players who progress in national squads in New Zealand and Australia. If the competition operates under materially different conditions to test rugby, those players may find themselves underprepared when stepping onto the global stage. Also, their players are likely to be disadvantaged when the international test matches come around, Doyle warned. International rugby still demands proficiency in scrummaging, mauling, structured set-piece play, and tactical patience. If domestic competitions diminish these elements in favor of tempo alone, players may struggle to adapt quickly enough. For the All Blacks and Wallabies, both seeking resurgence on the world stage, such misalignment could prove costly. The refereeing dilemma. Doyle, himself a former international referee and head of match officials at the Irish Rugby Football Union, also highlighted the strain placed on referees who operate across competitions. Elite officials frequently alternate between domestic leagues and international fixtures. If competitions apply different directives, interpretations, or experimental laws, referees must constantly recalibrate their decision-making frameworks. It makes life difficult for those elite referees who will move between SRP and international rugby, Doyle explained. Their job is hard enough without having to manage different sets of laws and directives. Consistency is vital for credibility. Players, coaches, and supporters expect uniform application at the highest level. Divergent systems risk confusion, controversy, and diminished trust. That a question of identity at the heart of Doyle's argument is a philosophical question. What defines rugby union? World Rugby's charter emphasizes inclusivity, a sport that accommodates all shapes and sizes. The scrum, line-out, and breakdown are integral contests that differentiate union from league. Doyle believes that excessively reducing scrums in pursuit of fluidity undermines this identity. By doing so, it is heading for a game that does not have a place for all shapes and sizes, he wrote, warning of a kind of hybrid mishmash with elements of rugby league. Such a shift, he contends, conflicts with both Union's charter and the spirit of World Rugby's recent communiqué. The ball-in-play debate modern administrators often cite ball-in-play time, BAPT, as a key performance indicator. Increased continuity is frequently equated with improved spectacle, but Doyle cautions against treating BAPT as an end in itself. It is all very well to keep looking for more ball-in-play time, he noted, but if that is not accompanied with a quality mark, then, as a goal in itself, it is meaningless. In his assessment, Elite Rugby Union already delivers high-quality ball-in-play time, where contests remain meaningful and structured rather than frenetic and disjointed. The objective, he argues, should not be maximum minutes of continuous movement, but maximizing the value of each contest within those minutes. Learning from the league comparison, some critics suggest Super Rugby Pacific's trials are designed to attract rugby league supporters by emphasizing speed and reducing set piece complexity. Doyle dismisses this strategy. If SRP is trying to appeal to rugby league supporters, then introducing similar laws is not the way to go, he warned. Rugby Union's distinctiveness is its strength. Attempting to emulate league risks alienating traditional supporters without necessarily converting new audiences. The two codes have coexisted for over a century, each thriving by maintaining unique characteristics. Blurring those boundaries may dilute Union's brand rather than enhance it. The importance of alignment. One of the key takeaways from the Shape of the Game Summit was a renewed commitment to alignment across elite competitions. World Rugby emphasized the need for coherence in law application and referee directives, ensuring fans can follow the sport without confusion. Doyle welcomed this focus on synergy, having previously voiced concerns to World Rugby Chairman Brett Robinson about fragmentation. Yet alignment requires cooperation from all major competitions. If Super Rugby Pacific persists with experimental measures that materially differ from global norms, that unity could fracture a delicate balance. None of this suggests that innovation should cease. Rugby Union has evolved continuously over the past 3 decades, from professionalization to breakdown interpretations, from defensive line speed to tactical kicking structures. Trials, when conducted responsibly and evaluated rigorously, can refine the sport. But Doyle's message is one of caution, rather than resistance. Innovation must serve Union's core principles rather than undermine them. It must prepare players for international rugby rather than isolate them from it. And it must support referees rather than burden them with contradictory mandates. The stakes for 2027, with the next Rugby World Cup approaching in Australia, the timing of these discussions is significant. Consistency in law application and competition structure will be critical as nations build towards the global showpiece. If Super Rugby Pacific operates under a different competitive rhythm, questions may arise about preparedness, tactical cohesion, and player adaptability when Southern Hemisphere stars re-enter the international arena. For the All Blacks and Wallabies, striving to reclaim dominance, such variables cannot be ignored. The conclusion: Owen Doyle's intervention is not an outright condemnation of innovation, but a measured appeal for unity and prudence. The Shape of the Game conference reaffirmed Rugby Union's collective commitment to coherence and stability ahead of 2027. Yet that unity will only endure if domestic competitions align with a broader global framework. Reducing scrums, increasing free kicks, and accelerating tempo may enhance spectacle in isolation.